Well, good morning, good afternoon to everybody who's on the call and will be listening into the call. The call is recorded, as everybody knows. So for those who aren't able to come join us today, they did ask for the recording, which will be sent to them. So thank you, Jamie and Michelle, for showing up today. We appreciate it. We're glad to have you here. And it's been quite a while, Michelle. So it's good to see you again. You look great.
Oh, thank you. Great to see you too.
Excellent. And I think you're working on another book too, which is amazing. So, okay. So today we're going to be talking about setting goals, and I will ask for everybody to, if they're not talking, to mute their lines, please, just out of respect for everybody else. We will have time for questions at the end, and there's one or two questions that were submitted ahead of time. This call is being recorded because, again, as I mentioned, is that there are a few people who are not able to attend because of time zones, but did ask for the recording. So after the call is ended, within the next day or two, we will send out a link. Or we will send out link, yes, to the next call. There'll be several things we'll send out in an email following this call. So just as a point of reference. So on the call today is myself. You guys know who I am. Jen, Mary Kate, Ashley, and Michaela are all part of the Hasmark family. And I know Jamie has met all the girls. Michelle, I'm not sure if you've had the chance to meet Ashley and Michaela because they're the newer members of the team. So is Mary Kate, actually. So Ashley and Michaela are part of the publishing, and Mary Kate is marketing. And also on the call is Marna, who is my partner in this Bookkamp new joint venture. We're definitely doing it different than we had previously done with coffee chats. Coffee chats were more interactive. It was more engaging. Not that this can't be, but our goal here is to be much more informative and kind of go on all aspects of the whole entire author book journey, not just focus on the publishing part of it. So that's the point of today. So with that, we can get started. Thank you, Ashley. So of course, Bookkamps is what we're doing it under. Happy trails for setting your book goals. And the next slide is one of my favorite quotes. I actually have this in my Power Life script because I think it's that important. When you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you will find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. Absolutely love that quote. And honestly, when you live that, you'll understand it, you'll believe it, and it'll become so much more to you.
So one of the really important things about goals is that you stick to them. My favorite Bob Proctor quote, be like a postage stamp, stick to it until you get done. So one of the things that helps me stick to things is a daily practice. I have a daily gratitude practice. I have a gratitude journal. I also have a to-do list that gets used all the time. I use note cards because they're big enough to get about 6 things on there, which is about the right number of goals for me. And every day I create a new one. So, it gets scratched up and scruffled by the end of the day. But it helps me to stay focused, to create that. And all of those goals, all of those pieces go back to that postage stamp. So, a man is but a product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. A woman is but a product of her thoughts. What she thinks, she becomes. So one of the things that you can do to help you with this is a Power Life script. That's a really awesome thing that Peggy McCall created. And it helps you put everything into perspective. You write the story of what your life will look like in present tense, and then you listen to that. She has an awesome program. I think we're going to put a link to that in the description or in the chat box if anybody doesn't have that currently. So you want to set a goal to achieve something that is so big, so exhilarating that it excites you and scares you at the same time. Another great Bob Proctor quote. He's been on my mind a lot of late. So one of the things that I realize that I need to do every day is if I wake up and I think about what I've got to do and think about my goals, and I don't feel like my toes are hanging off the edge of a cliff and the ground is crumbling from underneath me, I don't have my goal set right. It needs to be a little bit scary, which pushes me and challenges me to do it. Some of them are a lot scary, but the interesting thing is the more you work through them, they tend to get less scary as things go on. Okay. Sit down and write it down with a pen, and then make up your mind that you're going to do it. Bob also talks about gaffing an idea with the point of a pencil or a pen. And so what that is you want to get your goal such that you can write it down cogently, and so it makes sense and it's a sentence. I have my goal cards, and they're around me every place. So I use those as a way to think about to work on my goal. Judy?
And what a great segue into the goal cards. We are going to give you guys on the call. It's in Basecamp. So Ashley, can you flip to the next slide? Because that's the actual goal card that we'll be sharing with you guys. If you don't already have one, I strongly recommend that you do get a goal card. And one of the things that I really have to share this with you. Peggy, of course, and I know Michelle knows Peggy, and a lot of the folks on the call right now know Peggy. And years ago, she said, write out your goals. So I did. And a girlfriend of mine said, what's your goal for the perfect mate? Who would you, out of the whole world, who would it be? And I immediately answered, it's Deacon Claiborne. And if anyone knows who he is, which I doubt, okay, I'm aging myself. He's from Nashville. And so, of course, I wrote down that I wanted Deacon Claiborne in my life. So lo and behold, we have our 10th anniversary. So this is dating back 2.5 years or 3 years ago. And what happens? My girlfriend walks into the room with a life-size Deacon Claiborne silhouette or cutout. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? So I got my wish. I got my goal. But the problem was I should have been specific in the goal and said, no, not cardboard, not any other format, not on my TV, but in the flesh and blood. So it taught me that you have to be very careful. Like one of the things Peggy also told me back once upon a time is I wrote down a goal for my business. Well, it's easy. It isn't easy, but you set a revenue goal. But if that revenue goal isn't profitable, it doesn't matter whether it's $10 or $1,000 or 7 figures, whatever it may be, it needs to be a profitable revenue goal. So the most important thing you can do when writing your goal is be specific. And the other thing I would say is that it's in the present tense. Don't talk about it like it might happen. Like, I am happy and grateful that my book will become an international bestseller. The way to write it is, I'm happy and grateful that my book is an international bestseller, even though it's talking about the future, because as soon as you start to live it as if it's real, it's already happened. Bob Proctor talks about this all the time. He was phenomenal in confirming to us, talk about it as if it's today. Don't talk about it in the future. So I would definitely be, so we're next going to talk about daily book actions, daily actions to taking. And one of those actions is make sure you've gotten your goal card, print it, get it from wherever, create your own, doesn't matter, but create that goal, that daily or the goal card, and then put it away and read it every single day. Repetitive actions, as Marna was pointing out, is going to help you achieve it. Don't sit there and think that you can set a goal, toss it away, and never think about it again. Yeah, it can happen, but it's like winning the lottery. It's if I'm not going to the store to buy the tickets, I'm not winning. So I had to have taken action. Doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter where. As we all know, it isn't about the how, it's about the decision that that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to achieve. There's a form that we created that we'll be sharing with, again, there'll be another form that we'll be gifting you guys with, which is a daily action form. And all it is that every single day, I do this too, is I actually have a piece of paper. I may have 12 notebooks, which I have lots. They're all got different purposes. I have 4 that sit around me every single day. But as soon as I get up in the morning, I come online, I get a piece of paper, and I actually write down what the goal cards are. Can you switch to the next slide? We'll show you guys. And really is, what's the intention? So I start the day with what's my intention for today? Like I'm going to have a profitable day. I'm going to have a high revenue day. I'm going to have a good, relaxing, comfortable day. It doesn't always have to be big, huge sea goals. Sometimes it can be like today, the weather isn't great. It's just that I want a good day. I want a productive day. And then what am I going to accomplish today? What are my tasks? So then I'll jot those down. You can do 3. You can print 12 of these out if you wish to, but at least do one of these a day. Write about them too. What are some of the challenges that you're faced with? Maybe it's, I don't have enough time, or maybe it's, I don't have enough money, whatever the issue may be, or maybe I'm afraid, because the sooner you understand what's your paradigm, what's your block, what's holding you back, the sooner you'll be able to take these actions and moving forward in them. I remember when Peggy was going for the New York Times bestseller, and it was Destiny Switch. Yep. And she was working with Hay House. And even though Hay House was doing a ton of marketing, she had the publicist, she created a daily action item. And I know she talks about this. And every single day she created action items for her to do. And she did them. And guess what happened? She achieved the results she had set for herself. So I would definitely say this is an important one for you guys to all do. And now there's also monthly actions. One of the monthly actions, you might say, how does this differ? For example, is the goal card. You may not, I would read it every single day, but based on things happening in your life, you may decide that after a month or after a couple of weeks that there's something in that goal that needs to be changed. It wasn't specific enough, or something's happened in my life that I want to change it. So a monthly action, my item would be review your goal card to see if you want it updated. Marna mentioned the Power Life script. If you recorded your Power Life script a month or so ago, go back and review it. I would say there's an action item to be done every day is watch your Power Life script for sure, but update it. We also have a monthly action tracker so that we can kind of give you some pointers. So some of the things you could be doing for, again, start with your affirmation. We wrote here is my thoughts and efforts, I'm trying to read it, lead me to the success I desire. Anyways, I can't read it. I should have a microscope. But some of the activities, so we thought we'd give you some ideas here for monthly items. And we've really focused on books because, of course, we're called Hasmark. We've got Bookkamps as a subset of that. So research bookstores. So this is coming up to your launch. So say you've set your date out for 6 months, which I would say minimum 3 months, maybe 6 months, depending on the goal you have for your book. But one of them could be research bookstores in your area that might be interested in doing a book signing, because there is action items that are going to be required to get you into that bookstore, like getting them stocked, finding out what time they're going to be done, what you're going to set your price up. Research, connect with potential media partners. There's research for established authors. And what we mean by that is, are you noticing some authors? We have one, for instance, that we have a meeting with monthly, even though we launched his book over a year ago. Mark Wilkinson is our guy that I would say has been he was our recipient of last year's award, but he does something towards or for a benefit of his book every single day, whether it's he's talking to us about running free Kindle ads, whether right now we're about to release his hardcover version of his book. He's got a live event. He set up a coaching program, but watch his Facebook. So that's what we're saying is go research people who've written books, who have done successful launches of their book and continue to keep the momentum going for their book, and just copy them. You don't even need at first to be creative or different than they are. You can literally sit there. The best compliment we can ever have in our lives is to be the same as somebody, or to have somebody replicate us, something we're doing. It's an incredible compliment. So that one of the other things we're going to talk about in a moment is vision boards, of course. Something else is that you should be creating a bonus gift to prepare for your upcoming launch as well. And the girls, of course, Mary Kate and Jen, talk about that during the marketing calls when we're preparing for your book. And now that's a great segue into goals for your book. And I'll let Marna take this one on.
So what are the goals for your book? Do you want it to be a bestseller, an international bestseller, a New York Times bestseller, a Wall Street Journal bestseller? Or do you want to sell 30,000 copies or 30 million copies or 500 copies? All of those are perfectly acceptable goals. It depends on what you want for your book. Sometimes it's to use your book to help grow your business. So there may be some goals around that. Figure out, in the same way that you set goals for yourself, figure out what your book's job is, what it should do. So there is, and we will be giving you guys access to a goal card for your book, essentially. So that's one. One of the things that I did for me was I created a mock-up of my book. I was at a point where I wanted to actually see what it was and feel it, but it was just pixels, and you can't pick one of those up. So I went into Canva and created some mock-ups of those. Can we go to the next slide, please? So there's some unknown person holding my book. There's an actual 3D copy of the book, and all of those things were without it ever being printed. So I went in and created those. I also make pretty good use of Amazon bestseller flags. That's that little red flag in the middle, and the badges, and there's all sorts of badges. You can go find those on the internet and then use those in ways that help motivate you, and you can use them in some of the marketing of your book later if you want to. I even, I have a little magazine holder that has the all of my book related stuff, and it's got an Amazon best-selling badge on it. So I keep it where I can see it a lot. So you want to write your own, one of the things you can do is write your own short story that includes how you feel. It's not necessarily for publication anyplace, but it's what you feel and how excited you were when you first saw the book and what happened with all of that. Incorporate that into your Power Life script too. Another thing you can do is it's a mind movie. So you create a PowerPoint slide set, a whole deck with lots of images that are related to the book goal. Maybe it's you speaking someplace in front of people, or having a time when somebody comes, a phone call where they call and want your book or want you to come to present, or a book signing where there's people lined up around the block. Whatever it is, you can put those into a PowerPoint presentation, set it to go actually really fast, because our eyes perceive things much faster than we think they do, and put some music to it, and you can watch that and listen to that as a motivating idea. So you want to condense then all of this stuff into just one sentence, and that's your book goal. So put your goal cards all around, have them spread out so in different places so you can find them, and run across them. I have one across the air. It's sitting in the area where I work on my book every day, so it's sitting there, and also do other things. I have them in my pockets, in my purse, in my wallet. I'm the one that does most of the cooking. I've been known to stick a goal card on the refrigerator, so every time I open the refrigerator, I see that. So all kinds of ways to keep it at sort of the top of your mind. So these are things beyond just vision boards that you can use. I've got some vision board examples, if you don't know what those are, sitting up on the screen currently. And those are just a paper presentation of that mind movie that I was talking about, where it's words or images and that relate to your goal and to what you want. Hey, Judy, you had kind of a neat vision board that you put together one time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I remember when someone had first suggested doing a vision board, and I thought, I get the dreams and everything, but I felt like it just made me squirm a little, because it was like, I just felt like it was me, and I didn't feel comfortable, even though they say that that's what you should do. But I thought, how can I create a vision board that doesn't make me feel that squirmy, but makes me see the vision and go after the dream? So the next slide is what I created. I created a Bailey's vision board, and Bailey, of course, that's not my name, is sitting there right in the corner. In my screen, it's the right side. That's my dog, Bailey. And so I thought, rather than create a board that was all about me, it was like, how can I make this work? It's like, once upon a time when I first started the business, it was like, should you do it in Judy O'Byrne? And I thought, I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be more about the energy of it, the feeling of what we're doing. So I created this vision board. You know what's really cool is, after a couple years, after I had created this, I actually realized that all of the vision, all of the pictures on here actually came true. And that was mind-blowing, because these here are C-type goals for me when I created it. Having the home in Florida, that's the middle picture there. Having a Mercedes vehicle. So I thought, well, I'll put Bailey in the vehicle. I'll have him in a swimming pool, because I wanted a swimming pool. The backyard was a nice big area for him to run around in. But it was like everything I wanted, but it was so much easier to do it this way. And the only thing here, okay, maybe I didn't get the Corvette, but let's ignore that one. But the only thing here that I feel like I really didn't achieve was the fire hydrant. And and trust me, I got offered it, but the thought of it going on my lawn and all the dogs in the neighborhood peeing, no. that wasn't going to happen. But I'll tell you, this was and the one thing that Bailey did ask me to add was the little squirrels in the bottom corner so that he could chase after them. That was all about his vision. But it was just so I thought, well, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm not going to make it too real. I'm not going to make it too heavy. But oh my God, it actually worked better than the deacon thing, I must add. So here's Bailey's vision board. So actually, it's just another way to do it. Okay, now this one also is pretty cool. I have lots of examples over the years because it's and I know some of these girls, not all girls have heard this. Jen's probably heard it 100 times, but it was also about the visualization of goals. I have over the years, I take these long scrolls of paper. And I remember somebody gave me the first one in Florida, and it was for the grandkids who were coming to visit, and they could just use it for coloring. And then I thought one day I was sitting there and I thought, well, what can I do to write out the plan? I was going to map out the future of Hasmark, the idea of what we're going to do. And I suddenly thought, well, I'm going to pull that out because it's nice and long. It doesn't limit me, which was also important. And how could I prepare it and then stick it on the wall so I could go through it with my team? So anyways, one day I'm in the house there, and Anne, who everyone knows is a graphic designer, she came over to my house, and Leanne, who's a friend of mine, we said, okay, let's map out the future, what Hasmark looks like. So we did everything from identifying the revenue goal to what would be break the sales down, like what were the opportunities for sales. That was important for us to do. We did who our perfect audience was so that we could sell to it. Where did we see ourselves going in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years, which I felt was important. And then one of the most important things that I did that day was I wrote down, well, I can't do it alone. I mean, yes, Jen's here and Jen's done a phenomenal job over 14 years working with me, but even her and I can't do it alone. It takes, what's the expression? It takes
A village.
a village. That's it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create, what do we need? So the three of us went down and we identified all the different, we even drew an organizational chart, which eventually we formalized, and I now have those charts. But Leanne suddenly said, let's call it Judy's Dream Team. And I remembered at that very moment, all of a sudden this fear rose up in me, and I'm going, oh my God, can I actually do this? I'm sitting there thinking, I have enough money in the bank right now that pays today's payroll or tomorrow's payroll, but I certainly don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go and hire the perfect dream team. But again, this little voice, his name is Bob Proctor, who now he will become voices to everybody because he'll live on in all of us. This little voice said to me, it's not how you do it, Judy. It's about, you want this. You know that this is the road to your goal. So just know now that even though it rose up that fear, just know that you can have the dream team. And I remembered for a couple months afterwards, every so often that fear would rise up again, but it was a fear that propelled me. It didn't hold me back. So actually today I have the dream team, and part of the dream team is here. These guys are incredible, the ones that are on the call who are my team. But honestly, it's the most amazing feeling on the planet when the day arrives and you're sitting there going, I have no idea how I went from that piece of paper to sitting. Honestly, the girls are probably thinking you're nuts. You interview and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. Like it just happens. And Bob says it's not about the how, it's about the knowing. And I knew that day I was going to do it. And it scared me, trust me, scared me, but I didn't care. It was a fear that propelled me. It didn't hold me back. So I am very, very fortunate that I have the dream team.
So what's stopping you, right? Put in the chat some of the things that might be stopping you. For some people, it's, a fear of failure. What if I picked up something that was so big that I couldn't possibly do it? Was that a little bit of your concern with your dream team, Judy?
It's like you said, you've got the C-type goals, and what I realized was one of the things that was important at the time for me to look at was, is my goal so big that I'm paralyzed, or was my goal so big that it wanted me to move forward? And that, identifying that, I call it the probability scale. As soon as I identified my probability, so even though it was, the probability of achieving it at that moment was probably 30 or 40%, the fear that rose in me wasn't one that said, okay, stop. My paradigm says I can't do it because I've already hired people before. But it was that it propelled me to move forward, because it's like, I want this. I know for Hasmark to be a success, I need to bring in the dream team. So it propelled me. It didn't stop me.
Michelle suggests fear of success. I think that's true. I think that can be a very scary thing. What if I'm overwhelmed with all of the good things that happens? And I mean, they are good things, but they can be scary when they come at you fast. Jamie, go ahead. No.
On that one, I found for me, I mentioned earlier about, and Michelle, you're welcome to open your line, but I found when I had the fear of success before, it was, and that's when I first hid behind the Hasmark thing. It was like, I hated being on stage. When I first came into this business, I didn't want to be in the forefront. I didn't want to be on stage. I didn't want any of that. So I hid behind Hasmark. And that's how I allowed myself to walk into success. So sometimes it's finding your way to get there. And today it's like, before COVID, pre-COVID, I remember Peggy would have events and I'd walk up, or I'd go to her and I'd say to her, well, am I allowed on the, or when am I going on stage? And she'd look at me and think, what the heck? You want to be on stage? I want to be on stage. Put me on stage. Maybe you can give us an example, Michelle, what you're finding.
Oh, I suppose a part of it has to do with, the story I'm writing. I think I shared on the last book camp that it's a love story, but it's a little bit of a power life script too, because it's going to be written. I'm writing my own love story, essentially, because I don't have that, person in my life, that partner in my life that I want. I know his name is Jack. I know what he looks like. I know, what he sounds like. Like, there's all of these details that have been created in my imagination, and now I want to write it. And I think that scares me. more than anything is the content and the context of it. Be great if it was, I would love for it to be a New York Times bestseller. Like that to me would be amazing. And I think part of the fear of the success is maybe just being out there a little bit too much on the edge, and then being vulnerable inside of the telling of the story, and what if it doesn't happen? Kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
exactly.
there's a lot of things that come up for me around that. If it, yeah.
And
failure and success.
Exactly. And are you writing as if it is you, or are you writing it as if it's somebody else? Like, I forget how that's expressed, second person or third person.
Yeah, I'm writing it. I'm playing around with this right now, actually, because I know we talked about this last time and that was really helpful. I think someone else had asked the question about that. And so there are parts of it that are written from my past, that might be in a certain tense. There might, there's stuff that I'm writing from my present in terms of how I'm creating this, that are written in that first person. And then the future sort of fiction part of it is very, has a different tone to it as well. So yeah. But yes,
That's
from my perspective.
Did you
That's
decide to write it in the first person, the I?
I'm still playing with it. I'm
Okay.
trying, I think what you recommended, which was to see which one
feels
feels
best for you,
better.
but
Yeah. So I'm playing with that with some different.
since it's sort of an under the covers, if you'll pardon the pun, power life script for you, it's I do it in the I. I didn't realize you were writing your own power life script, but I try it that way and see how that feels. And you can even, I'm divorced. And when I first got divorced, I sat down and made a list, and it was pretty long, of qualities that I wanted in a man. And some of them were silly and frivolous, and some of them were pretty basic. And then I put it away. And the interesting thing was I found somebody that matched all of, I thought there was no way that one had that entire list. And I found one, oddly, at a time when I was not looking. So if you can, so that you can trick your head into finding that from a mindset point of view, even if, you're writing, if the main character doesn't have your name, if it's you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can accomplish, because you've got kind of two goals for your book, right?
I do.
So you can hit them both.
I do. I mean, I have, the first one is already written down about Jack.
Yeah.
And, just our life together and what that looks like.
Right.
The book is really just an expression of what I see in my imagination and what I've been playing with anyways, a client of mine had, she kind of glammed onto this idea where, I said I was kind of having conversations with Jack and she sent me a card, like a love note, and she signed it Jack. And,
Nice.
like anything that I can do to like have it feel real, but now I'm ready to write the story of,
good.
what that looks like.
See, I like that. Again, it's like you're talking about fear of success, but that fear is propelling you forward. So it's not that, I don't ever think that we should not identify, because I get it that fear has a negative connotation, but we have to accept that that's part of our life and identify it. But make sure that that fear isn't something that holds you back. Because if it feels like it's stopping you, there's a reason. The universe is trying to get you pay attention. But if that fear is propelling you forward, which it is,
right?
Because you're finding ways to make you go forward. And I agree with Marta. I would write it as I. And it may be that you end up writing it as I. And then I was thinking to myself, there's even ways that you can do kind of an introduction or an outro, which talks about, this is what I envision, or you could actually, because to me, it's like you're somebody who is living what probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of us are also living. We're just not making, the action to move it forward. And again, it's all about action. It's the staying stuck's the worst.
Yeah, I think so. I love that you covered that daily actions are so important, because I can remember Bob telling me once too that, it's great. You want to have the C-type goal, that's big and exciting and scary. And you want to spend a few minutes, every day thinking about that and, seeing yourself there. But then you got to put your eyes down and get to work and just take consistent action every day, because as you do that, the less scary it feels, because
Yes.
you've gained the confidence that you're moving forward, which I think is what you're talking about, right? Just you don't let it stop you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll step back one day and you'll go, oh my goodness, how did that happen? But it's all of this that made it happen, because when you're in the middle of it, you feel like you're in a tornado, and then all of a sudden it clears and it's like, okay, that wasn't so bad after all. The middle of it always feels like it's a little bit tough to get through. But again, I think it's about facing it and not sitting there and saying, oh, no, I'm going to stop, because Bob was a smart, incredible man. So he's got a lot of wisdom.
Yes, so true.
Yeah.
And in my experience, you were exactly right, Michelle, with those big goals. They're big and they're hugely scary. I'll confess, I don't like heights much. And for me, I can tell if it's a big, scary goal if I'm standing on the edge of something really high. So that's it's that pit of my stomach. Yeah. And when I feel really out there, it's my toes are over the edge and the ground underneath is starting to kind of fall out. And the interesting thing for me is I'll feel that way and I'll be working towards whatever the goal is. And after a while, if I'm daily doing things towards that goal, I'll go really revisit where I am with that. And I'm, back behind the ropes. I'm not close to the edge. And it's like, okay, so I've clearly kind of not necessarily mastered or achieved it yet, but the hard part's done. It's going to come. So what do I need to push myself forward to get back to having my toes over the edge?
Yeah, that's good. It's a good visual.
So that helps me. And it's truly that visual, because I've stood on the edge of things where the ground's not going to fall off. I'm not going to get hurt, but I can't convince my brain that yet. So
yes.
But what an incredible feeling, though, when you have, you talk about fear of height. That's me. Ask Jen, she knows all about it. But when you've conquered something, which I haven't conquered my fear of heights, so trust me, that hasn't happened yet. But when you do conquer it, like the dream team, it has got to be the most incredible feeling in the world. So again, it's the other thing I found too is that sometimes I become so focused that I'm almost making myself not believe it, because I'm too focused. I don't think focused is the right word. I don't know if someone's got another thought about that, but as soon as I relax, even though the passion is there, I still want it just as badly, but I don't sit there in that place of, it's almost a what do you call it? I'm trying to think of what the right word is again, is an obsession. And when it's not an obsession, when it's just something I feel strongly and passionately about, the whole paradigm shifts. When that paradigm shifts, I know I'm going to achieve it. Every time something like that happens, the power that we feel inside is incredible. So I love that. I love that we're talking about this, because I was telling Marna that I had one of the ladies that I worked with in the past, and she put a post up, and one of the things that she said was fear of success or fear of failure. So it's one of the highest things for us all to have to achieve. But I think it's also about doing it in bite-sized pieces that we can manage. It's about moving forward and not staying stuck. And I think things like daily action items, monthly action items, goal cards, visioning, all of that is so incredibly important. Vision boards.
Yes.
Do we want
Thank
to
you.
move on to Jamie's comment here as well?
Let's see.
She's got here, Jamie mentioned here, it's fear of wasting times, thoughts of disappointment if it does not happen. It's a big one, but I won't let that stop me. Love that you said that, Jamie.
Yep.
Love that you said
That's awesome.
you won't let it stop you.
And
So can you give us an example?
Yes. So I'm writing a book about, I wrote a book about the mindset of musicians, or the mindset to be successful as a musician. And then I was thinking, who is going to be interested in it? How many people will be interested in it? Is it too specialized? I guess all these self-critical questions, and I don't want to waste my time. I could be using that time for something else. And it's the indecisiveness of, I also started another book that was much more technical about how to learn to play different instruments. So it's this, I think the indecisiveness, the fear of wasting time actually makes me waste time, because I should probably just go for something, and just, the sooner I go for it and do it, the sooner I can get on to the next thing and more things. If I take more actions, there's more chance of hitting success than if I stop and think, should I do this? Should I do that?
Well, and that's one way that you can help conquer that too, Jamie, is if your fear is the market not big enough. Well, the counter to that is, okay, let's go look at the size of the market, or what can we do to make sure that everybody in that market sees the book. So there's ways to reframe that where it's actually going to push you forward towards your goal, right?
So there are ways to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
If that's your concern, go figure it out.
But I like that, Marna, what you're saying though, because when you said that, Jamie, I'll tell you what my head just did. There's only millions of people that are out there that would be involved in the music world that would probably want to read your book. So only millions. What the heck? You know, I mean, there's a C-type goal, get it into millions of hands. So I already say that, how could that be wasting time? It can't.
It's
So,
actually not a waste of time no matter what, because
Right.
even if
yeah.
5 people bought the book, or even if I just used it for my own students, for my own lesson plan, right there, it's valuable to me just for myself. So
Yeah,
it's okay.
it's all about perception. And I do think that Marna's advice there, go seek the support that you need, because again, and even stop and look at your own world that you're in, because you're right. If it helps one student, which I have no doubt you already have done or witnessed that, and then you'll continue to keep on doing that. So that's not the wasting time, is just what you said. It's living in the fear. It's living in the wonder of whether or not it would be received well, or whether people would read it. There's absolutely a need for it out there. I've even said that if you stop and look at, I'm going to use Bob Proctor again as an example. Bob Proctor didn't write all of his own material. He sits there and Peggy's the same thing. Peggy talks about Bob and Earl Nightingale and Neville Goddard, and we'll just go on and on and on with names. They've taken something and they've interpreted it so that it works to their benefit, rightly so. Same thing here. It's go find what supports your goal. Don't go find what keeps you in fear. Because I guarantee, even on things like Facebook, go join some music groups and ask them what they think. And I guarantee you their answer is going to be, absolutely, we want that kind of book. In fact, I think we even have, I know we have a couple authors recently that have talked to me about being in the music world. And I guarantee you, if we connected, even they'd find a way that would show you a path to those you can help.
Ah, yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Thank you.
You know what else I was just thinking about, which I know we forgot to tap on and we had talked about earlier, Marna, is things like mastermind groups.
Yes.
Because a mastermind group would do it. I was thinking to myself as you had said that, Jamie, is that tap into people who are going to help lift you and make you propel you forward. Well, things like mastermind groups or accountability buddies is another one. Is getting an accountability buddy. Accountability buddy more is about becoming accountable and propelling you forward. If you can't do it on your own, then do it with someone, and that will make it work. But mastermind groups are incredible about bouncing ideas off, and it may be that they put a slight change to how you're presenting it that might just make a world of difference for you. Give you the confidence to know, because I know that there's millions of people who would be interested. Millions.
That's what I need, the exactly how to present it is what makes the difference, because I know that what I want to say and my message is fantastic. I already know that. I just don't want it to be locked up inside me. I need a way to really get it across to people.
And
that's what I need.
yeah, and you happen to be in the right world of writing. So whether you're going to write it in, I mean, there's also different means of getting the communication out there. You are writing a book, as you said, so it could be that, of course, one of the things is a book, but if you're not ready for the book, is write articles, write blogs, do videos on YouTube, like put notes in Facebook. Like there's all kinds of different ways to get your message out there. Join different groups.
Build your audience. And didn't you say you had students?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you say you had students as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that a book does, and it's a great goal for a book, is to improve your business. So this is, that may be a way to bring additional students to you, or a way to touch more students than you can actually handle at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a
great suggestions. Thank you. I wrote them all down.
Good. And we have a fear factor report that we're going to share too. We'll send it to you guys on after the call, that we'll give you access to, that talks about exactly what we've been talking about, maybe not specifically for your subject, but talks about other people going through the fear and what they've done. And I know we're running up close to the top of the hour, and I know we're going to be wrapping in a minute, but Amir is on the call, and I'm not sure if everybody knows. I don't even know if Marna's met him yet. He joined Hasmark a few months ago as an author. I believe you're still 14, or you're 15 now.
Yes, ma'am. Well, hi everyone, first of all. But
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a great meeting and everything. It's a great book camp. All the information is just amazing. But yeah, I'm still 14.
Wow. And he's published author now.
Yeah.
He just published his book. We published his book with him, only I think your release date is coming up, or you just had it, because I know I have your book in my office.
Oh yes, yeah. The launch date is coming up, where we kind of tell everyone this is the day we're going to, you can buy our book on this day, which is, that's the launch day. It's coming up, but yeah, we've already released it and everything. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I thought to ask you is, throughout the process, because what impressed me the most is that you reached out. You've done all the work. You've been on the calls. You've been doing everything you've been asked to do. You've been, like, I can tell you've just been absorbing everything. But at any time through the process, did you find that you were, any fear rose up, anything came up that was stopping you?
Yeah, that's a yeah, that's a good question, because we were just talking about it as well. When I was kind of doing the illustrations for the children's book, sometimes when I was drawing, this fear would rise up that some kid would some child would kind of read or buy this book, and the illustrations wouldn't be as, they wouldn't have the effect that I wanted them to have. So I would redraw like a lot of stuff, right? I would go back and be like, this file doesn't look right, or this painting doesn't fit right. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the only thing that I think kind of made me postpone the launch date, the quote unquote launch date. But yeah, other than that though, I don't think there was any. Yeah, of course, fear of wasting time, fear of what else? There's a lot of those common. Oh yes, yeah. Thank you for writing the name of the book in the chat. I was just going to do that. But yeah, there's a lot of fears, common fears, I think, among authors, right? That kind of everyone shares. But I think for me, that was the like unique one, I guess, the specific one for this book. But yeah. I think
I absolutely admired you for stepping up. Like, you wrote to me, you got on a call, you progressed through it. And I'm thinking to myself, how many 14-year-olds, do you know how many adults right now have been writing? I think we've just signed up a couple recently that said to me, they wrote a book in their school years, and they put it in a drawer and never published it. And I think,
Oh,
what a
no.
shame. You actually, I mean, you're not even from, it's not like you're a neighbor of mine. You're in Athens, aren't you? Athens
No,
or
Austria. Yeah,
Austria.
I'm in. Yeah,
Close.
Austria, yeah. But,
When you're
yeah.
this side of the world is close.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta continue. I can't help say how much I admire
Thank you.
that you stepped out of your fear, and you and look at you. It's, and I know your book has already become a bestseller, so now it's just onward and upward for you, because that's the other thing that I like. You're a great model, because your book is done and it was an incredible amount of work, but you're sitting here coming in and learning what else you can do.
Yeah, of course. I think that's quite important. I think we mentioned it on this book camp as well. Kind of never stopping. This every day you should do something for your book, whatever it might be. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So I know that the girls shared the Amazon link. When is the release of your book? Like, when's your actually date?
Yeah, so I think it's the 28th, of February. That would be the
Okay,
launch
cool.
date. Yeah, so everyone can
Okay.
go and well, buy it at that date. And yeah,
Perfect.
that's the 28th of February.
Okay. And we'll be sure to share it in our network as well on the
Oh,
28th.
great.
So don't be afraid to ask anyone that you're meeting, even go on to our Facebook and ask people to share it on the 28th. So, and that's because that's how you can also move forward. So congratulations. I can't wait for the launch.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Okay, handing over the virtual mic to you, Marna.
Okay, I think we can scoot on to the next slide. So life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Guess who picked this slide? The one who feels like she's standing right on that edge, on the very rocky edge with the big rocks down below, right? So really, that's how all those goals happen. Next one, please. We talked about fear that stops you and fear that propels you. And there's all kinds of those. And honestly, I think it's easier when you're 14 and bulletproof than when you're, lots older than that and a little bit battered. You tend to think about things that, you know, oh, is anybody actually going to listen to me? Or all the things that have happened since I was 14 or anybody was 14. So all of that worry and doubt can stop you, but it can also push you and propel you. So pick that one, pick the propel you. So as Jamie said, you know, is there an audience? Well, yeah, there is. So let's go figure out how to build it and let it propel you that way. So life is short and it's too short to wait. So we are coming to the end, and we have the next book camp that we're going to have will feature editing, and that one will be a month from today, March 23rd, and it's going to be at noon Eastern time. There will also be a ride along with me. So it's writing sprints and writing intensives this Saturday. And so February 26th, it's at 11 Eastern, so noon in my world. And anybody that wants to come, it's free. And the times that I've done it, everybody that has come, including me, has gotten just amazing amounts of words on paper. And literally that's all a writing sprint is you just dump what's in your head and then go back and edit it later. But we spend about 2 hours really focusing and getting words on that. I think is there a link we can put in the chat for that, Judy? Or somebody?
For the sign up?
For both, for the two, for the editing book camp
Yeah,
as well as for the write along.
Jen's dropping them in the, but what we'll do is after the call, which is, we'll be sending an email with the link to the next book camp.
Great.
The write along.
Awesome.
And
Thank
then following that, we'll be doing the, and we'll be giving everybody access to the Basecamp forms that we showed you today. And then keeping you posted on upcoming calls. So thank you. Thank you, Marna, for today. And thank you guys for joining us and sharing with us. We appreciate it. And hopefully we've given you some insights because we're here. And as you know, we are here to see your success. Your success is our success. And we appreciate you so much.
Thank everyone for being here and watching too.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Well, thanks everyone. We will see you in a month from now on the next book camp call. Okay. Have a fantastic day. Bye everyone.
Bye.